The Rusoh Eliminator fire extinguisher must be reloaded after each use. This requires the replacement of both the CO2 cartridge and the agent cartridge. Be sure you have the following: your eliminator extinguisher, an eliminator reload kit, a large garbage bag, an eliminator wrench set, a can of compressed air, a strap wrench or adjustable pliers and cloth, a jar of petroleum jelly, a scissors, and a drop cloth. To get started, place the drop cloth or other protective covering in your work area. Next, confirm that the extinguisher is not pressurized by aiming the nozzle upwards into the large garbage bag and slowly squeeze the hose valve lever. It should be easy to squeeze and should return to its original position when released. If it doesn't, replace it per the self-service manual available online at Rusoh.com. Then, squeeze the side ribs on the red CO2 cartridge cover and remove the cartridge by twisting it clockwise. If you are unable to turn it, use a strap wrench or adjustable pliers. If you use pliers, place a cloth over the cartridge to protect it from marring. Remember to turn clockwise. Unlike normal threaded components, the cartridge has reverse threads. Verify the cartridge is punctured before putting it in the recycling bin. Discard the cartridge in a recycling bin for metal. Next, remove the discharge head from the agent cartridge. First, pull the hose out of the hose clip. Then, put the eliminator cartridge wrench on a level floor with the textured footrest facing up. Place the bottom of the extinguisher onto the wrench. Insert the bar wrench through the handle opening of the discharge head. Place one foot on the footrest and grasp both ends of the bar wrench. Turn the bar wrench counterclockwise until the discharge head begins to loosen. Once it turns easily, the bar wrench is no longer necessary. Continue turning the discharge head by hand until it is completely detached from the agent cartridge. Slide the replacement CO2 cartridge out of the reload kit cap and set it aside temporarily. Open the hinged door on the cap and remove the replacement tamper seal and dust gasket, and set these aside as well. A spare red CO2 cartridge gasket is here. Leave it in the cap for now. Invert the discharge head. Remove the used dust gasket and discard it. Clean the threads and inside sealing surfaces of the discharge head with a cloth to remove any chemical agent residue. Be sure to include the area right below the threads and central cavity to ensure that the unit will seal properly. That's important because a unit that isn't sealed correctly may not work when needed. If you notice any caked-on chemical agent, use a small brush to loosen it. Here's what a unit looks like that needs more cleaning. Note the residue on these surfaces. Here's one that's properly cleaned. Note that these surfaces are clear. Next, use compressed air to thoroughly blow out the internal cavity of the discharge head. Squeeze the valve lever to fully open the valve and blow air from the center of the discharge head through the hose and valve, and then do so from the reverse direction. Install the new dust gasket in the discharge head and press around the outer edges of the gasket so that it is securely positioned. Visually inspect the discharge head, hose, and valve assembly for damage. If any damage is found, replace components per the self-service manual available online at Rusoh.com. Check to make sure the puncture lever is operating correctly by placing it in the unlocked position and pressing down on it a few times. Be sure that it moves freely and snaps back into position. Use the eliminator wrench set to loosen the reload kit cap. As was done earlier, put the eliminator cartridge wrench on a level floor with the textured footrests facing up, and set the replacement agent cartridge onto the wrench. Be sure to do this on a level surface to prevent chemical agent from spilling. Insert the bar wrench in the handle recess of the reload kit cap, grasping both ends of the bar wrench, and place one foot on the footrest. Turn the bar counterclockwise until the cap begins to loosen. Once it turns easily, the bar wrench is no longer necessary. Continue turning the cap by hand until it is completely detached from the agent cartridge. Use the cap to seal the spent agent cartridge and discard it in a recycling bin designated for plastics. Next, use a small brush to clean off any dry chemical agent on the gray mixing tube cover. Then, using a scissors, cut the black band on the bottom of the gray cover, being careful to remove and discard it. Then slowly remove the gray cover and discard. Check to be sure that the two small O-rings on the mixing tube and the large red O-ring on the outer threads of the replacement cartridge are clean, well lubricated, and free of dry chemical. If any of them have any dry chemical on them, remove them and wipe with a dry cloth. With the O-rings removed, clean the O-ring grooves on the agent cartridge and mixing tube with a dry cloth or a small brush. If needed, re-lubricate the O-rings and the O-ring grooves with a generous amount of petroleum jelly. Then, place the O-rings back in their grooves and wipe away any excess lubrication on the cartridge and mixing tube. To ensure that the fire extinguisher works, it's very important that the O-rings are properly seated in their grooves. Next, attach the discharge head to the new agent cartridge. For easy installation, start by applying a small amount of petroleum jelly to the discharge head sealing surfaces. Then, place the discharge head on the agent cartridge, grasp the handle, and turn clockwise until it is snug. It may be necessary to use the bar wrench to fully tighten the discharge head. There should be just a very narrow gap between the discharge head and the agent cartridge. If it looks like this, you need to further tighten. Tighten until the cartridge and head are almost flush, and the red alignment rib on the agent cartridge is within the red alignment marking on the discharge head. Do not rotate beyond the stop tab. For compact storage, rotate the hose strap so the clip is aligned with the hose, rotate the valve so it is flush against the agent cartridge, and push the hose into the clip until it snaps into position. Before installing the new CO2 cartridge, be sure the lock is in the locked position. It should be horizontal. Then, lift the red CO2 cartridge cover and use a flashlight to verify the red gasket is in place in the bottom of the opening. It looks like this. If it's missing, insert a replacement gasket from the reloading kit cap by gently picking up the gasket with the needle nose pliers and dropping it into the cartridge port with the flanged side down. Then, use the eraser end of a pencil to press it into place. It is crucial that this gasket is correctly positioned. Next, install the new CO2 cartridge by rotating it 8 full turns in a counterclockwise direction until tight. Remember that the cartridge has reverse threads, so it turns in the opposite direction of normal threaded components. If the extinguisher will be mounted in a marine bracket, the CO2 cartridge must be rotated an additional 1/4 turn using a strap wrench or adjustable pliers. Then, close the red cover and install the new tamper seal by positioning it so that the text is right side up and the snap hooks align with the lock openings. Using 2 fingers, gently press the arrows until the seal locks into position. Return the extinguisher to the wall mount or cabinet. For compact storage, the valve lever should face the wall. If it does not, grasp the hose with one hand and the valve assembly with the other, and rotate the valve assembly counterclockwise until it does. Free-flowing agent is key to effectively extinguishing a fire. Dry chemical, however, tends to compact over time. With traditional extinguishers, you can't check the dry chemical's condition. The Eliminator changes that situation with the patented Rusoh wheel fluffing system. Either remove the unit from the wall mount or swing the bottom away from the wall. Then, turn the Rusoh wheel clockwise, then counterclockwise until it turns freely. Then make 3 full rotations in either direction. Using the fluffing wrench, sold separately, makes this task faster if you're doing multiple units. Once each step has been performed, initial and date the inspection tag. The Eliminator fire extinguisher is now reloaded and ready for use. For more information on the Rusoh Eliminator fire extinguisher, including how to perform the 30-day and annual inspections, go to rusoh.com.